All right. So tell me what's going on.
Thanks, Ian. I had a few questions, but one comes up to the top, which is I have a 15-month-old German Shepherd. Um, and she does this thing with her mouth, and she's gentle, but her mouth always has to be sort of on you, like way too much. It's a
Hmm.
boundary thing for sure.
Yeah.
And all of the things I've tried, even like physical touch and stuff, she just thinks that I'm playing.
Yep.
So so it makes it worse.
Yep.
So I was just wondering what your thoughts are on trying to eliminate that more.
Yeah. So is this like a mouthiness? Is it during play or is it you could be just hanging out on the couch and she comes over and does it?
Both.
Both. Okay. So in that moment, we know she's on the excited and stimulated end of things, right? And so here's something to remember about that too, is that at any time that they're excited or stimulated, um, at any time they're excited or stimulated, if we are not calm, any other emotion that elevates us, they're going to interpret as play. So it doesn't matter if we're happy or excited or angry or frustrated, they're going to interpret it as you want to be a part of this. So that's the first thing. Um, the second thing is probably in that moment, I would probably have a leash on her because oftentimes when a dog gets mouthy, the first thing that we do is we take our hand away for obvious reasons. This also gives this thing life. So it makes the dog want to chase it down even more. So, and if we say stop or we try to grab the collar or anything like that, our hand is still near their head, which it just, and we typically tend to move quicker during that time too, which to them is engaging in play. So even though your intention is, I want this to end, the perception from the dog is you want to keep this going. You see?
Hmm.
So what are you using to walk her when you take her for a walk, like a leash, just regular clip leash onto the collar?
No, that didn't work pretty quickly. It's like the loop leash that gets tighter.
The slip
Kind of,
leash.
yes, yes.
Perfect. So Diana, while you're home, I would have that leash on her because and she can drag it around. The one thing that you may, depending on her interpretation of the leash, one thing you may have to teach is that she's not allowed to chew on the leash when it's on her, right? So you're
That
gonna
comes
have
up a lot.
to, yeah, you're gonna have to get through that part of it, which in that situation, so let's say this is her mouth, okay? Uh, kind of give you a visual here for a second. So if her mouth chews on the leash, right? I tend to pull up with the leash because what does this do to her mouth? You see
Opens
how
it. Yeah.
it turns it sideways.
Okay.
Do you see? And
Hmm.
so I'm not yanking here because I don't want to play tug of war. So this is just steady pressure. So the moment she lets go of this, I'll relax the leash. And she grabs it, tension goes back up again. She lets go, I relax. So you may have to work through that process with her first,
Okay.
for her to understand. But if she is mouthing you, right? So this is just hanging on her. And it doesn't like don't stress over where this is, as far as on the neck in this moment, let's just drag her around the house because you're not taking her for a walk, right? And so as soon as she starts mouthing you, don't reach for the leash underneath her neck or underneath her jaw here. Reach down below down here, away from her head. Okay.
Hmm.
And then when you grab it, then slide your hand down and pressure is either up towards you in this direction, okay, or it's straight up,
Okay.
okay, so that when the biting stops, you have to relax the leash. So here's the thing, this isn't going to be a one time I pull on the leash, she stops, I relax it, she understands for life kind of thing.
Okay.
1 second.
Hold on. There we go. Yeah, just got to make sure everybody's on mute here. So in that context, I want you to approach this like you want her to mouth you a dozen times so that she understands the pattern, that there's an accountability factor here. that if you chew on my hands when I don't want you to, you're going to feel a pressure. So in no way are we trying to choke or anything. It's just a pressure. I want her to feel like, ah, what is that? Oh, when I let go, that pressure goes away. So I want her to understand there's a cause and effect involved with it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, worst case scenario, is she crate trained?
Yes.
Okay. Worst case, go put her in the crate.
Okay.
Because sometimes it's an overtired thing, like with kids, right? Sometimes they just get a little belligerent and we can't get through to them. And so as long as you just like, I'm sure the majority of us here at some point were sent to our room as a kid for misbehaving. And so even if our parents were angry, but it didn't mean we were afraid to go to bed that night because our bedroom already represented our space. And so we want the crate to represent our dog space. Do you see what I mean?
Hmm.
So I'm not saying you're allowed to put her in there and be all ticked off. I'm just saying if you put her in there for misbehaving, it doesn't mean she's going to be scared of that thing for the rest of her life.
Okay.
Do you see?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if she does this towards any of the kids, the mouthing thing, we as parents have to address that.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't want to empower young kids to try to do that with the leash. There's too much sensitivity and understanding of the dog for them to try to like orchestrate all that. Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Thank
Good. Good, good. You're welcome. All right. Let's see. For those of you that are just joining us, what I would like you to do is to go down to the React button and click that, and everybody get their hand raised so I know who's left here as far as questions is concerned. So Diana, you don't have leave yours down for right now. But everybody else, please go ahead and do that. And also just letting you know that I probably will be sharing this on my YouTube channel as well. So if you want to take off the last name um, of your name on your Zoom account, you can do that as well. So all right. And I'm just going to go, this is literally like one question at a time from each person. And then if we have enough time I get through, then I might start a second round. So again, so I just see that Paula's raised her hand, so I'm going to go to her, but I need everybody else except for Diana to go ahead and raise their hand. So just go down to the react button on your screen and click the raise hand button. So uh, Paula, let's go with you. And I would like you
Hi,
to also, hi, how are you?
good. How are you?
Good. And I would also like you, when I call on you to turn on your video, if you could, please too.
My question is having my dog near other dogs, she's not used to that. Like, I don't let her, she's a little reactive, but I'm not sure if it's just her trying to set boundaries or what's the best way to kind of um, get them used to being around other dogs, mainly because my nephew has a dog and he brings it around all the time and we'd like them
Okay.
to be able to.
Okay.
Um, his dog is very large, very much playful, and I just get caught up in the whole process.
Yeah. So tell me about your dog. How old is she?
She's 5,
Okay. And how long have you had her?
5 years.
Okay. So you've had her since she was a puppy.
Yes.
Okay. So has she been around dogs at all during that time frame?
A little bit, but not regularly.
Yeah. So let's say I'm walking down the trail. I've got one of my dogs. You're walking down the trail. You've got your dog. And let's say it happened. The You dropped the leash accidentally. What's your dog going to do? What do you feel
Well,
your dog's intentions are?
she, you know what? She stays by me. That actually
Okay.
happened. She got out of her harness at a park and just stood there like, what do I do?
Yeah. Okay. So she's unsure then,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So, okay. So what happens as far as, so what, when your son brings his dog over, and his dog approaches your dog, what does she do in that moment?
She's growling, trying to get away,
Yep.
trying to get to me or have me hold her, you know,
Yeah.
protection.
Yeah. And so how big is your dog? Like how much does she weigh?
Like 30 pounds.
Okay. All right. So too big to get into your pocket then, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So in that moment, we have to think about space. All right. So what's happening is uh your son's dog's moving close to her and decreasing the amount of space before she's ready for it.
Hmm.
Okay. So
Yes.
her brain has to go into the fight or flight mode at that moment, or even avoid, right? And so she's
Yes.
using a little bit of flight mode because it's funny, I just picture her standing behind your legs. Does she do that?
Yes. I was sitting in a chair actually, and she jumped up on the chair to get behind me.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's the thing. It's our job to advocate for our dog, right?
Hmm.
So for her, she's in this like flight avoidance state of mind because she's scared. And I don't blame her for being scared. She could be scared, but I don't want her to live like that, right?
Hmm.
And so for me, the reason she's hiding is because she doesn't know what to do. She doesn't have the skills to be out in the front and control the situation. So that is where you're going to need to step up for her and you send your son's dog away from you guys. So
Okay.
when we address a dog like that, it's actually a two-way conversation. You're saying to your son's dog, this is too much and you need to back away. That's the first conversation. The second conversation is to your dog who's back here saying, I got your back because I'm going to make the thing that's bothering you move away.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
So your dog is probably one of those dogs that needs to take time in and just like process the situation before she can move into a situation, right?
Yes. So is
Yeah.
that best to do that outside, sort of where they have more space?
So I'm guessing this is going to be a regular thing, or it has been a regular thing, right? Where you get the dogs together.
Yes.
Yeah. Ideally, I would take both those dogs for a walk together. And so you and your son are on the inside, dogs are on the outside. Okay. Because your dog needs a sense of like you represent a barrier, your son represents a barrier, and then his dog is over here.
Okay.
So that's going to help make her feel safer. If you were like this, she's going to feel exposed. Dogs are next to each other. You're over here. It's going to make her feel naked in the middle of New York City.
Okay.
Okay. So it needs to go
Yes.
this way, right? You go for a walk, half hour. When you come back home, I would tether each dog or anchor each dog to something that they can't move, especially the bigger dog, but within the same vicinity of each other, but not so close. And you'll know it because you'll see it like a billboard. If your dog can just sit and relax while your son's dog is on the other side of the room, you're totally fine. You have enough space.
Okay.
If they are close enough that your dog is straining and trying to get away, they're too close. You need to extend how much time or how much space there is apart. So I want you to focus on the space between the dogs, that literally that empty space between the dogs. How much that closes that gap and how much it increases is what's going to make her feel better.
Okay.
The closer it gets, the more uncomfortable she's going to feel. The further away it gets, the more comfortable she's going to feel. But we want to build this to the point where they can just hang out and get along, right? That's your goal.
Hmm.
Yeah. So we need to keep practicing so she can learn that when they're 15 feet apart, whatever number that might be, that they can experience that and hang out together without anything bad happening. So
Okay.
your son's dog doesn't have to worry about anything bad happening. Your dog does. And we
Okay.
want to, and so for her to understand that she has to experience it over and over and over again so she sees that nothing bad is going to happen. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So think of it this way, Paula. If you were afraid of an elevator, because we both speak English, I could have this conversation to you or with you about how the elevator is going to work, right?
Yes.
Doesn't mean that you're going to be thrilled about getting on it, but we can have that conversation. So in the dog world, we can't have that conversation. So we have to have them experience it at a super mild level so as to not create a big reaction that creates this like flight and avoidance state of mind. You see?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah, yeah. Long-term goal, I work on building her confidence more than I'm worried about her being like, I shouldn't say more, but I work on building her confidence with sticking up for her and advocating for her. It's just one of the ways. So
Okay.
you just don't allow your son's dog to come in and get into her space, right? So
Hmm.
that's something you'll have to talk to your son about because when you guys are in agreement so that he can prevent his dog from getting into her space, then the four of you, two adults and two kids or two dogs here, everybody understands what's going on. So you can move together and you can make progress quicker that way.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay? You're welcome. Good question. Um, and I'm gonna lower your hand. Okay. So that was Paula. All right. So as I said before, I just need everybody to go down to the react button or click on the react button on your screen and raise your hand for me. Um, so that there we go. Good. Now we're rolling. Okay. Tina, let's go with you. And again, if you guys can turn on your videos while we chat, that would be amazing.
Okay. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Um, my issue is with my 3-year-old Jack Russell Terrier. I've only had him for about 7 months. I got him
Okay.
from a rescue. But when we go on walks in the morning, he's very reactive. He's lunging at cars, buses, trash trucks, and sometimes even people, especially children, as they're going to catch the bus when they're running, anything
Yeah.
running or loud and noisy.
Yeah.
And I'm having a very difficult time controlling it.
Okay. How long have you had him for?
6 months.
Okay. All right. And so what are you using for tools to walk him with?
I have so I have a leash, I have a 6 foot leash, and I also have a harness.
Okay.
I use a harness on him. He has a martingale collar, which sometimes I'll use, but he also pulls, and I've been trying to get him to stop pulling.
Yeah.
But the harness just helps me better because it's easier for me to control him.
Yeah.
So,
But that control is through physical
yeah.
sensation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's that like when you go and grab the leash before you go for your walk? What does he do?
Um, he's very hyper. He's a Jack Russell and he's ready to go out. So what I've started doing in the morning, well, when it was daylight early, I would take him out really, really early before cars
Mhm.
and people got out there and it was pretty good. But now I can't go until after 7 and that's when everybody's out. And so it's
Okay.
ramped up. But what I do now is I let him in the backyard and run around a little bit before we go for our walk to
Okay.
try and burn off some of his energy.
Yeah.
Um, it worked for a day or two, but it's not working consistently.
Yeah. So what's he like in the house for you?
Um, he is very feisty. He is very active.
Okay.
He likes to run and play, and he has his toys. Um, when I can burn off that energy, like playing with the toy with him, playing tug of war or something like that, or just
Yeah.
throwing it and let him play fetch.
Yeah.
I can usually burn him out in about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and he'll lay down and sit on the couch or wherever I let him, his space.
Yeah.
But he's very, very active, very
Okay.
active.
So when you grab the leash and he's hyper, what is that? Describe it to me because I can't see it. I have an idea what it might
Well,
look like, but I want to know like how would you describe his body language and what he's doing and what all that looks like.
it looks honestly, he looks like he's hunting. He looks like his head is going back and forth, back and forth. His head is
Yeah.
down to the ground. He's sniffing, and it almost like when we first started on the walk, it's like what's out here? What's out here? Can I get it? Can I get it?
Yeah. Yeah. So he's scanning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What about in the house? As soon as you grab the leash in that moment, what's he doing?
Um, he doesn't get really excited. He runs from me first. He has to do. He's like a little ritual when we go for a morning walk. it's hard for me to get the harness on him, so I just started waiting for him to come to me. And so
Yeah.
he does a little dance around the coffee table and goes in the
Okay.
dining room and then comes back to me and then we'll sit and let me put the harness on him. But I have to
Okay.
wait. Like I have to wait until he's calm before I can put it on. Otherwise, it's a struggle.
Yeah. Okay. And then what's it like when you walk out of the house in that moment? Like you literally walk over through the threshold of the door
Oh, he
and
likes to
outside.
bolt. I have to pull him
Yeah.
back. He's going straight for the woods.
Yeah. You see, so his association to the leash and the harness is pure excitement, right? And so excitement is a forward type move. That's why I just put this post up on Instagram today about our if is your dog forward, because so he's practicing being forward,
Yeah.
which if he's practicing being forward, we have to look at it and go, okay, this pendulum needs to start swinging back to neutral. You see?
Uh-huh.
So for me, so give me a time frame. How long do you normally take him for a walk for? Ballpark.
We usually go for about a mile, about 20, 30 minutes.
Okay. So I would take that time frame of 30 minutes. I would grab the leash. Whatever ritual he does, I'm not going to move. Okay. I'm just going to hang out. I'm going to wait until he chills. I don't need him lying down and asleep. I don't need that. But I
Uh-huh.
also don't need him up here wiggling and he's like ready to roll. Right.
Yeah.
So, by the way, you've already punched in for your 30 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
I take the leash. When he's finally kind of gone to that moment of like this,
Yeah.
I reach over and I hook it, and I just may stand up or I may just go sit down for a few minutes.
Okay.
So what I'm doing is I'm speed bumping all this excitement.
Okay.
I'm slowing it down, right?
Yeah.
And what I'm telling him is I don't move forward in the progression of taking you for a walk until you give me the mindset that I'm looking for. You see?
Yeah.
So then you can be sitting on the couch, you can be drinking your coffee. By the way, you're still punched in for your 30 minutes, right?
Uh-huh.
Because what's happening is you've thrown a wrench in the gears.
Mm.
And when we do that and we prevent the dog from taking that normal route, we really start triggering the brain and start making them think. And that's tiring for a dog.
Okay.
Okay. So we focus a lot on our destination. I have to make it for 1 mile. I have to get down to that mailbox, that tree, the
Yep.
driveway, and come back.
Right.
I want everybody here to focus more on time frame instead of destination.
Okay.
It's always time, it's not destination. Because if we go, I have 30 minutes to get to that driveway and back, and our dogs start acting like a butt and not behaving, then we start to hurry because we don't have enough time. That's
Yep.
typically what I find.
Yeah.
Okay. So you put the leash on him, you've sat down, he's going to go, what is going on? You're probably going to see him yawn. You're going to see him lick his lips. You're going to see him look around like he's wondering what's going on. It's important at this point that we're not humanizing him or feeling sorry for him, that we're just saying, hey, what's happened previously is not working for me. So I'm teaching you a new behavior, a new pattern of what I want to create, right? So when he's chilled out, I may just grab the leash, bring it over to wherever you want to be, and then I start putting on the harness. And then, which by the way, the harness is actually going to help promote the pulling and the scanning
Oh,
because we're not influencing the brain. So if we were to work
okay.
together, that's the first thing that I would address is how to use probably more than a slip leash than the martingale collar
Okay.
because I need his brain. Because right now you're bringing this simmering pot of water outside and he's scanning and scanning and scanning, and then when he sees something it boils over,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But for me, I want to bring the cold pot of water outside, not the pot of water that's simmering. Make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So when he comes over and you're able to get the leash on and then he's chill, then I'll stand up and I'll start walking towards the door, but as soon as he starts pulling I stop
Okay.
because I want him to understand that pulling actually makes everything slow down. But in his brain, pulling makes everything speed up. So he just forces his way right through it. That's how he's being forward.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah. Regardless of the tool, anytime somebody's dog pulls, I always address that first because it's all mindset. And you, what you did, what you said earlier was good. You said you sometimes let him play or romp around the backyard just to burn a little energy. That's great because it's less than what you have to deal with when you start slowing things down for him,
Hmm.
you know?
Okay.
But we want to teach him a new pattern and a new routine to follow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
And
try
by the
it.
way, you can practice this when you're not going for a walk,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right? Could
Yep.
be 7 o'clock tonight, and you're going to be like, I'm just going to go through this routine, but we're not going to walk out the door. I'm going to get him to the point where he's walking around dragging this leash, trying to figure out what is going on, and I'm making him think and making him work. And then when he chills out, I'll walk over and unhook it, and I'll go back and sit back down.
Okay. All
Does it make
right. That's
sense?
helpful. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Give that a shot for a little while. I think that would be the first thing that I would do.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks.
Yeah,
Yep.
you're welcome. All right, Judy, you're up next. And then whoever else raises their hands will go up next. How are you? Let's get you unmuted here.
Can you see me? Can you hear
There.
me?
Yep. Good to go
Hi.
now.
I wanted to say to the first woman as encouragement, I don't remember her name.
Diana?
Diana, hi. When you my little hi Diana. When you were pulling the leash when Sunny was pulling the leash last week and she kept biting it, it only took me, Ian, what, like a couple minutes at the most, and now
Yeah.
she stopped the other day. She tried and I just lifted her leash a little bit and that was it. So it happened really quickly, just for a sign of encouragement. So hope it works for you. Thanks, Ian.
Nice. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, I have so many questions as a puppy,
Okay.
but I guess I want to say Sunny just kind of started barking a lot more than she did. She can see out the front door and well, obviously bark at squirrels and bunnies. If she hears a noise, she barks. She sees people walking, she barks. Some of that I like. So like if someone was approaching the house and likes it seemed like the
Yeah.
dog's home.
I think that's part of why
But
we get a dog too.
yeah. But it's also a little excessive, and what's the happy medium for a barking dog? I guess that was my only question. I don't want to take up too many questions, so I
Yeah.
guess that's
So let me
excessive
ask,
barking. Yeah,
yeah, let me ask you this question. Does she have a perch that she sits at to look out the window?
she does.
Yeah,
Although I
that's the
just put a
problem.
plant back. I just moved the plant back from outdoors indoors, so
Yeah.
I feel like she should have that again. But
Yeah,
anyway,
so that's part of the problem because it turns into a dog learning that it's now their job to bark at everything because every time they
gotcha.
bark, it goes away. Even
I
if
see.
it's right, even though the
Oh,
animal doesn't even hear her, it keeps moving and it goes out of her sight. So then she goes, "Oh, good. I just made that go away. Oh, that person walking by, I just made that go away." So they get reinforced for doing that, which then brings them back to keep doing this as their job. So they're basically patrolling what's going on outside.
hmm,
So most of the time, like I said, there's a part of us as dog owners that want that out of our dog,
right.
but we don't want a security guard,
Right.
meaning we don't need somebody stationed at the window to prevent something from happening all day, right?
Right.
Yeah. So for
Well,
me, I would, because honestly, that little perch, I wouldn't allow her up on it.
well, it's not a perch, it's the floor, and it's side lights, at the front door.
Okay. Perfect.
But
Okay.
I did put a plant back there. It's not a purge. It's like literally side lights.
Okay. So I would have a leash on her because remember, we're always about trying to get ahead of her behavior,
Right.
right? So when
Mhm.
we can, just like with Diana with the mouthing thing, we're putting a leash on ahead of when all that's going to happen so that when the time comes, we immediately have access to stop it without
Oh.
getting chomped on some more,
Mhm.
right? So for Sunny, we're putting the leash on her, we're letting her drag it around so that if she does get super barky, I can walk over and I can put a little pressure on the leash, just like what I was telling Diana. We put a little pressure on the leash because I want the brain to relax in that moment, in that
Gotcha.
environment.
Yep.
Okay. So when the brain can relax, then I'll draw the dog away.
Okay.
Okay. So just like I think it was Paula, the two dogs coming together,
Yes.
that we need them to be peaceful before we separate and go our own way. But if we separate when the smaller dog is scared or nervous and hiding, and our son's dog goes home, then this is the association we're creating. So at the window, I want her to chill out, calm down. We're good. The garbage can outside isn't going to kill us. Right?
Yeah.
And then when they chill out, and then we move away. So I want her to learn that you can watch out the window. And if you're truly concerned, the dog is, she will intensify her bark, which will bring you over. So if there is somebody out there, it's not supposed to be out there, then we don't address her. We let her do her job. But if you walk over there and it's just the trash can sitting there, we're good. I don't need that. I don't need to say thank you either, by the way. A lot of people say thank you to their dog. I'm not a big believer in saying thank you.
I've never said that, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh, it's a thing. It's a big thing for sure. So I always address that state of mind there, and then I'll remove from the window. You can go put her on her bed. You can walk her with you, walk her to the middle of the room, and then drop the leash. We don't need to put her into like a place command or anything at that time.
So, like, if the mail woman's coming, you're saying, and she barks because she hears her at the door, are you saying, like, I don't know what time the mail woman comes, it changes daily. So,
Sure.
is that okay to
Sure.
bark? Like, or just, I'm not going to run and put a
I
leash on her and lift her neck, like to,
Right. I'm okay with a couple of initial barks. I'm okay with that. I
yeah,
don't need her to be perfectly silent. I've had less than 5 clients in my career say I want my dog to not bark at all. And I tell them that they're ridiculous because that's what dogs do, right? So um to me it's like, okay, you can let me know what's going on and I see that it's the mail lady and we're good, right? And then I may add, if the mail lady goes away and the barking goes down, we're fine.
gotcha.
But if there's somebody out there that's not supposed to be out there, I don't even address her. You can keep barking,
Right.
right?
I get it.
But
Okay.
yeah, but if there's just a chipmunk out there, okay, I'm addressing you because you don't need to let me know when there's a chipmunk outside, right?
Got it. Yeah. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes, completely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yep. I'm not sure. So your video is on for iPad 8. We'll do you up next here. What's your name?
Julie?
Julie. All right. Why don't you go next?
Okay. I have a terrier mix. He's part poodle, part schnauzer. I have a problem with him in the car, and I need
Okay.
to rectify that. He goes berserk in the car, and I have him tethered to. I have a harness that I put on him that hooks into the seatbelt.
Yep.
He just he just goes crazy, just barking and whining and crying. And but when we get to our destination, he's fine.
Yeah.
So I need to address that with him.
What's it like with him when he gets into the car?
Oh, he's so excited to get into
Yeah.
the. He's
Do you have to lift him up and put him in, or does he jump in on his own?
he jumps in. He's small, so
Okay.
sometimes I do lift him in. Yeah.
Okay. And does he sit still for you while you do the harness and get things all connected up, or
Yes.
yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And then what happens in that moment? You get him connected,
And then
right?
I turn the car on
Hold on,
and
hold on.
oh
Where is he sitting? Front seat or back
no,
seat?
back seat. Back
Okay,
seat.
so there's a gap between when you get him buckled in and when you turn the car on, meaning you have to stand up, you have to shut that back door, you have to go to the front door, you have to open that. You see what I mean? There's all these other steps in between.
Okay.
Okay, so just like what I was talking with the other lady with her dog going crazy when you get the leash out, this is where we need to start to pinpoint the times when the dog goes, oh my gosh, now my brain has to go up here,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So when you put him in, you get him all hooked. What happens in that moment? You're done hooking it up. You take your hand off right then and there. What's going on in that moment?
Um, I have, he knows that I have to get in to the
Uh-huh.
car and he's looking for me.
Okay.
Um, and then I get in and he's fine until I start the car
Okay. And then when you start it, is this in a garage or are you outside?
outside.
Okay.
Yeah. And then when I start the car, he just goes crazy and
Yeah.
barks and tries to get up in front with me.
Okay.
The harness keeps him from getting all the way up in the front, but his front paws are on the console.
Okay. So if he wasn't hooked in the back, where's he going?
He would come up front with me under my arm.
Yeah.
Um, me driving like that.
Yeah.
But lately I'm like, no, we can't do that. You
W-
have to be in your place.
Yeah. Does he follow you around the house?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, can you go to the bathroom on your own or is he right
No,
outside the
he's
door?
right outside the door
Okay. All right.
until I
That-
say, can I have my privacy? And then he goes away.
oh, so you're asking permission from him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's it like walking him? Do you take him for a walk?
Oh yeah, we walk all the time.
Okay.
He's normally pretty good. He has his head is down a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So he's just kind of feeling or snipping things out.
Yeah.
He does pull it at times, but sometimes he's really good.
Okay.
So yeah, he's pretty good walking.
Okay.
I really don't have any problems with that
Where does he sleep?
with us.
Okay. Like in between you
Yeah,
or
yeah.
uh-huh. Okay. All right. How
I
do you
know
feel
you're going to tell me that's
how do
not
you
a good
feel about
idea.
that?
He's a bed hogger.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this question because this next question is more important than the previous one. Who gets into bed first, him or you guys?
My husband does. And
Okay.
he's always with my husband
Okay.
um when I come in later. Yeah.
Okay. When you get into bed, do you kind of get into bed and work your way around him, or do you get in and you own your bed and you're able to move him out of the way to get yourself comfortable?
I move him out of the way to get myself.
Okay, good for you. That's the most
Yeah.
important part out of the whole bed thing. Just so you know. So in this context, I don't have a problem with him being in bed with you. Okay?
Okay.
Now, what if you and your husband want to go out to eat? What does that look like for him?
He's pretty good. He knows I'll tell him, Ali, we're going out. You're gonna be by yourself. I turn the dog TV on and he's very good. Um he's there at the door when we come home.
Okay.
Um but he's been pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. What about during
We've only had him
feeding?
for what? We've only had him for 7 months, so we're still learning.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's long enough that he knows the routine and the
Oh,
environment.
he knows his
Yeah.
routine.
Yeah. What about during like when you start fixing his meals? What is that like?
He gets very excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And does he finish his meal when you put it down?
Sometimes, like today, he's just grazing.
Yeah. So dogs aren't naturally grazers. So that means that when our dog is done eating, if there's anything left in the dish, it gets picked up and put away until next mealtime.
Okay.
So you have a dog that's making a lot of decisions.
He's very spoiled.
And so what does spoiled mean to you?
He knows that we will condescend to his wishes. or his behavior.
Yeah. You know that some child psych I just learned this a few weeks ago. You know that some child psychologists define spoiled as trauma?
Really?
Well, is it natural?
Mm, yeah. No.
It's not, right?
No.
And so what that does is it creates chaos to them internally
Mm,
because it's not natural. There's no animal out in the wild that's spoiled,
yeah.
right?
Right. Right.
Even as kids or adults, if we're deemed as spoiled, it usually doesn't lead to something good, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're better off creating rules and boundaries for him to follow because order makes sense to him.
Right.
You
Yeah.
see?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to the car thing for a second. What's he barking at?
I don't know whether it's the movement of the car. I noticed that I definitely noticed if the windshield wipers go on, he hates that.
Yeah.
And also if when I slow down to make a turn, he doesn't like he's fine on long trips. I mean, if we're going 70, 80 miles an hour, he is fine.
Yeah.
But
Well, then that's your solution. You just go 70 or 80 wherever you have to go. Gonna go to the
But-
grocery store. We're gonna go 80 on the way there.
but around town, he just,
Yeah. So when he was before you got him the hook to the back, when he was up next to you, was he barking as much then?
yes,
Yeah.
he still does. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
So I
and
would
I
go
can't
just
put, and
go
I
ahead.
I tried the crate that I have, put him in that. Oh my gosh, he turns the crate over.
Yeah.
So I just don't know if there's another solution for containing him, but I don't think that will work. I think I need to learn how to
So the first
deal
thing I
with
would
this.
do is I would shorten the leash
Yeah,
that he's anchored with. I don't want him to have the
it,
freedom of being able to put his paws up on the console.
right. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it is a little long, and I have shortened it to, but I can figure out how to make it even shorter, I think.
Yeah. So sometimes you can put a knot in it.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah,
Okay.
that's a
Yeah.
good idea.
So, right. So we can just take this and wrap it
Yeah,
around.
yeah,
Yeah. I do it all the time with leashes, especially if I have a tall dog, right? And I have all this extra slack
yeah,
that I don't need.
yeah,
It's less to get tangled up and such. All right. So look, so it sounds like when you turn the car on, it starts to trigger, right?
yeah.
So when you turn the car on, he triggers, turn it off.
Okay.
Think it's going to confuse him?
Yeah,
Yeah, perfect. I want
yeah,
him to go, what is going on?
yeah.
So
Let's
what's
go.
happening is, yeah, what's happening is when you're putting him up in the car and he's at this simmering state of mind. And now we're pouring fuel on the fire. We're adding heat to the simmering water by starting the car.
Okay.
So then it creates he's blowing off steam, right?
Right.
This explosion. Yeah.
Yes.
So when you get him ready to go for a ride, are you saying, do you want to go for a ride or do you want to go
Uh-huh.
to the store?
Yeah.
Yes. So that has to stop too. So it's actually starting earlier than the whole turning on the car.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. But
Because
he
that's
goes when we go out for a walk, he goes by my car and he'll stop there and
yeah.
I'll say, no, we're walking today.
Yeah. Yeah. So and
Yeah.
do you want to go for a walk?
Yes.
Yep. So that gets him excited too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you seeing the pattern evolve?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So all the things that you're talking to him about are all things that we're doing this with. And you're saying, I want you to live up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because not only are you saying things to get him excited, you're asking questions.
Okay.
You want to go for a ride?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to go for a walk? Yeah, I do. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need the
Okay.
brain to
We
settle
need to bring
down.
it down.
Yeah.
Bring the excitement down. Okay.
Yes. Drastically.
Okay.
Drastically. Now,
I
I will say this. He probably has a sense of a prey drive, right?
what's
Do you know what prey
no,
drive is?
no.
That's the desire to chase small prey, small things, animals,
Yes, he loves his
movement.
chipmunks and he loves his squirrels. He loves to chase them.
Yeah, so I actually play with dogs more that have that because I want to fulfill that rather than have him take it out on the windshield wipers. Do you see?
Yes.
So those are the types of dogs that I really start playing fetch with because when I throw something, that mimics as it bounces and it moves, that mimics the prey that he can chase down and grab.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. He has a
That's
very short attention span when it comes to fetching.
well, he doesn't know
So,
what game he doesn't know a proper game to play yet,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I coach basketball and soccer.
Uh-huh.
If I don't give those kids something to do or rules to follow, whew, left hand turn and gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
important with him that we keep him here and focus on what we want.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we gotta chill him out a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So are there any other than tying a knot and making that harness shorter, are there any like other devices that I could use in that back seat?
No, this is more a state of mind
Okay.
and
Okay.
what you're doing. There's a part of me that feels like he also wants to be up with you too, which is a part of his barking.
Yes.
Just because of how much he follows you around. So
Yes.
I would start to make it so he's not allowed to invade your space when he wants to, that you only invite him up into your space.
Okay.
Do you see?
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Okay.
start working on those types of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
very
You're
much.
very welcome. Tina, let's do you next, if you're there. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. We already did Tina. My
Yeah.
bad. All right. Sheila, how about Sheila? Let's go.
Mhm. Oh, there I am.
How are you?
Okay. So I have a 4-year-old beagle who has trouble occasionally on walks with certain dogs
Uh-huh.
when we pass by them. Um, there's maybe a dozen dogs that she's fine with, but there's maybe four that she just hates completely.
Okay.
And I I am kind of controlling it, but I don't think it's the right way by distracting her with treats when we pass by those dogs. But
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's a better way.
Is it working?
If I catch it before she sees the dog, if I see it first and catch her first and kind of give it to her, actually, I can get her to look at the dog and look back at me to get a treat. But if I'm not the first one to notice it, it's impossible.
Okay. And so I get so same question I had with the other lady. If you would drop the leash when she sees the other dog, what do you feel like her intentions are?
Oh, she would full on charge it and bark and lunge. Yeah.
Okay. So does she have dog friends?
Yeah.
Okay. So we know
Most of the
she's
time.
what's that?
She has a lot of friends, but there's four specific dogs that I don't know why. She just never had an altercation with them, but she just hates them. If they've walked by my house and I come out of the house with her 5 minutes later,
Yeah.
she will run down the end of the driveway, her hair all up on her back, lunging and
Yeah.
barking and howling and going to try to get them.
Right. Right. And so what are you using to walk her with when you take her for a walk?
A collar and a leash.
Okay, just regular collar, traditional like clip collar on the
Regular,
neck kind of
yeah,
thing?
regular collar and regular leash.
Okay. The dog that she hates the most, what kind of dog is it?
Um,
Or describe it.
yeah, well, it's a tiny Yorkie or
Okay.
a huge German Shepherd and a white Labradoodle. Those are the main
Okay.
three.
Okay.
They're all different, and
Well,
I'm
they're
not
different to us, but to her it's the same.
right.
So there's something in common there as far as obviously she doesn't like the dog, so she goes into that state of mind. Um, I mean, do you guys have to walk in close proximity of each other?
I get as I get as far as I can. If I see, again, if I can see them coming, it's starting to get more of a problem now that it's getting dark earlier,
Okay.
because we've kind of come across them. But I'll like hide behind a parked car if she can't seem to see. Well, she does smell them too, though. Um, but I have just used avoidance and then kind of trying to distract her, but and it's okay. I just wondered if there was a better way that
Do you
you
know
could
the
think
owners
of.
of these people, of these dogs?
Yeah.
Like, well, like you
Um,
sometimes stop and have a conversation with them, or just in passing, cordial?
I've had a conversation with them when they don't have their dog. Yeah.
Okay. And how are their dogs towards her?
Um, the Yorkie could care less. The other
Okay.
two really bark at her also.
Okay.
The German Shepherds usually start the barking.
Okay.
Um,
So that's a different conversation entirely then,
right, right,
right? Because we know what a German Shepherd looks like. The tail's probably up, the ears are up, big, huge, like billboard signs of body language, right?
right,
And your dog's like, well, what the heck are you looking at? And then this whole conversation goes back and forth, right?
right.
Yeah. So, but you said the Yorkie could care less.
No, it's probably 10, 15 years old. It's a tiny little that's the main one I don't understand at all. Probably half blind. I mean, a very old, they just let it walk aimlessly in their yard when they're out with it.
Yeah.
Sometimes they actually, they know when I'm coming with my dog. They'll pick the little dog up and walk past me carrying it. She still goes bananas.
Yeah. Because she probably saw them pick her up.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So what's the walk like for you without seeing any dogs or anything like that? What's the leash like and what does it feel like?
Without running into anyone or just her
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah. Without you running into
It's
anything.
it's not too bad. I mean, she does really sniff after things. She's always trying to, find something to eat in the on the side of the road or
So
whatever. These
she's
people.
hunting.
She is, I think so. I've
Yeah.
never thought of it that way, but that sounds like a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Think about an animal. Think about, let's say, a tiger is heading out for a hunt. What are they going to do in that hunt in order to find something? What do they do?
Pull, sniff, um, I don't know. Uh,
Yeah. So yeah, tiger's certainly going to try to sniff and track something, right? And then what do
right,
they do when they see something? What do you think the heart rate does when they see something?
right. The spike. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Except they want to use ambush, right? In order to get
Right.
food. Right. So our dogs, the milder version, especially because when we walk our dogs, especially in the morning, so dogs are not nocturnal. A couple breeds are actually, but typically they're not, beagles aren't nocturnal.
No,
And so it's very like hardwired into their DNA that when they wake up, it's time to go find food.
definitely.
So oftentimes this can lead into a hunt type mode if we're not directing them into doing something completely different. So because this is a mild version of hunting and sniffing and sniffing and sniffing, which when you said if I see the dog first and I choose to avoid, nothing happens, right?
Right. And even if I see the dog first and give her treats, which that's what, she's getting food then.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, um, I want to address that I'm not going to let her hunt anymore.
Okay.
But I'm
Well, that's
also
what
not going to I'm not going to make this 100% structure. I don't think that's fair. We still want a dog to be a dog. So I want my dog to know the difference between it's time to follow me, but here are a couple minutes to go explore the bushes and the tree that I know you enjoy doing so much. So
okay.
those have to be two different events within the same cycle here. So I want that walk to be structured for at least 15 minutes before I give her 2 or 3 minutes to go sniff. And then we come
Okay.
back out onto the trail and then we get back into follow mode again. You see?
Right.
And so I want just like and this is kind of the consensus today, that brain is simmering again, right? So it's just like the pot of water that's simmering. When she's hunting and she sees something, it's fuel on the fire, woof, and you get that explosion, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I work on what it's like to put the leash on, make sure she's chill. We're leaving the house chill. Um, you may want to look into a different tool of some sort as far as what to walk her with, because the flat collar is not going to prevent or not going to provide you a lot of guidance and influence over her. Um, so, I mean, I've got leash handling videos that are available and or a Zoom call that I could help you with or whatnot. But I would address all that stuff first. And honestly, too, Sheila, I would take her on a super long walk. This is my perfect world scenario that I'm going to give you, okay?
Right.
Take her on a super long walk at 9 o'clock on Saturday, but at 10 o'clock, I'm scheduled to meet the owner with their little Yorkie.
Right.
And then when we get together, we're gonna walk the dogs in the same direction for another 30 minutes.
Okay.
Especially because the Yorkie doesn't really care what's going on.
Right.
So we're just moving forward. So dogs are on the outside, humans are on the inside. And this doesn't have to look like a perfect heel. Don't worry about that.
Right.
Just maintain a forward movement because her head is going to keep doing this, right?
Oh yeah.
And because you've already drained energy, that's going to help you. So she's not doing this for 2 hours. But
Right.
after a while, she's going to realize that this isn't doing anything. So then her head's going to start to come back here. And then you get more into that acceptance.
Okay.
So she's going into fight mode, seeing these dogs. And so I just classify fight mode as a forward movement. Could be forward because she wants to go say hi so bad that she can't contain herself. The other end of the spectrum is she's going to move forward so intense that she wants to take somebody's leg off, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's within that spectrum.
She's closer to the top of it, right?
Yeah. But I want her to experience walking with another dog, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. So how much do you think she weighs?
About 30.
Okay. You may want to look into getting a backpack for her. Is she fine? Is she
Okay.
fine physically, health wise?
Oh yeah. Yeah. She and I've considered that because I hike a lot, but she hates a harness. Um, she I because I have a harness when I take her in the car, and
Yeah.
also I had gotten it to try to walk her with it. But when I try to put it on her, she'll just run away. In the house, even she won't even let me put a harness on her.
Yeah. Yeah.
She just hates
So,
a harness.
if you were to describe her temperament to me, how would you describe it?
Um, very, she can be very chill, very calm. Ignore when someone comes to the doorbell, she'll keep laying down and just lift her head up and look.
Okay.
But when she's jazzed, she's jazzed. When she's chill, she's chill.
Okay. So that's good. She has that ability to chill
Yeah,
out.
she can be super chill. Yes, at certain times, she's
Yeah.
perfect.
Is she
Um,
sensitive to noise?
yes, fireworks, thunderstorms, hates them.
So something that you could try, and you may want to try this hmm, something that you could try is if you take an empty soda can and put about 20 pennies in it,
Uh-huh.
carry that with you on the walk. Okay. And so we want her to see those other dogs so that as soon as she starts to like rah, 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 I shake the
Right.
crap out of that can for about 2 seconds.
Okay.
Because I want her to go, what the heck is that? And when she goes,
Right.
when she does that, that's when I go, nope, settle down. Right.
Right. Okay.
So because of her sensitivity, that may like block her from that brain going forward to now going a little backwards and going, what the heck is that? Do you see what I mean?
So just just say no and keep moving forward
No,
then?
I would stop her and I would face her.
Okay.
So use your body language to just disagree. We don't have to get angry. I'm not getting angry. I'm not getting
Right.
upset. This is just very matter of fact monotone,
Okay.
right? You go, no, I'm not dealing with that. Settle down. And then any forward movement she starts again, I'd probably just shake that a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. So I
Okay.
want, so it's less of the sound and more about your follow through that will be the sticking point.
Right.
Okay. That makes sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all. You just disagreeing. That's all.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll
Okay.
give it a try. Yeah.
All right.
Thank
Cool.
you.
You're
Thanks.
welcome.
Appreciate it. Mhm.
I've got probably time to go back around everybody here, if you want to. So, Paula, we can go back to you if you'd like, if you're there. Wonder if I can. No, I can't. Okay. Tina, how about you? Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, just one. So what can I do about my dog barking at my vacuum cleaner?
Oh, that's not uncommon at all.
Okay.
So is it when it's just on or is it?
Yeah, it's when it's on. And there's times when we first got him, he was barking at it all the time. And I would yell at him, but now it's occasional. Like some days he's chill and I can vacuum and
Yeah.
it's not a problem. And then other days he wants to play with it, bite it, and jump at it. So,
Yeah. All right. So knowing what we just talked about before about slowing everything down in the right mindset, throw some things back at me that have resonated with you and start applying it towards the vacuum. I know I'm asking a
just
lot, but I want you to start to like think about what you want in that moment.
so like his brain is like he's simmering. I mean, it's to me, it's like he's ready to attack it like it's an animal. So
Uh-huh.
he's in that excited, I'm ready to play fight mode.
Yep.
But so his brain is like on fire. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Brain's on fire. Yeah. So when we pull the vacuum out, chances are his brain goes up, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
we can't go any further in that situation until the brain comes back down. So when you bring the vacuum out, drop it, leave it. His
Okay.
brain's up here, like I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready,
Yeah.
right? Here's
Yeah.
the thing to remember about a dog in this state of mind is that when they're up here, it's not sustainable,
Okay.
especially if we're in our own house and they're not making noise. We can wait this out until the cows come home.
Yeah.
So he may look at it. Okay, I'm ready for the thing to turn on. It's not turning on. Are you going to move it? You're not going to move it. What's going on? This starts to die down.
Okay.
So we wait for this to come down here, and then we go over and then we grab the handle and pick it up, right? This goes back up. We wait this out. He's like, I know it's going to turn on. I know it's going to move. Wait, it's not moving. It's not turning on. What's happening? This starts to die back down.
Yeah.
Right? And then when it comes down here, I turn it on, turn it off. Because I want
Okay.
him to go, what's going on? Wait, it didn't turn on? So do you see again how we're speed bumping this whole thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I always say this, drain, then train. So I'd much rather you play with him and then take him for a walk and then come back and work on the vacuum. So you're
Okay.
draining all sorts of physical energy that you don't want to have to deal with when it comes time to working on the vacuum.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're dealing with a full tank of gas. And if you have the patience of a saint, you can probably work through your way through it. But if you don't, it's going to get very frustrating very quickly.
Yeah, I like how you say drain then train. I think that works for him. I'm seeing it a little bit. I haven't done it enough. Like
Yeah.
when I was playing fetch with him to wear him out. But how long does it usually take? I mean, I realized it didn't take long. And I thought it would take a lot longer to wear him out just playing fetch, but it didn't. I mean, for an average dog, does it like 5, 10 minutes or?
Depends on the dog. So a Belgian Malinois can go for 2 hours straight without slowing down,
Wow.
right? You
Yeah.
know, so it depends on their physical stamina, but also their mental stamina. So I look at that and go, okay, where's the first signal that tells me my dog is starting to slow down? And time it. Grab your phone or something and time it from your play session. Because the other part of it too is, let's say your dog starts to get tired at 15 minutes. I'm not going to push to 15 minutes every day because pretty soon the dog gets to 20 minutes before it gets tired,
Mhm.
right? And then we start to build stamina and then we build an athlete, which I don't know many people that want to do with their dog.
Yeah. No.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. So for me, I drain that energy. So 10, 12 minutes because 15 minutes is the limit, let's say. So we do 12 minutes and then we go for a walk because that's also going to be kind of like a cool down time too.
Yeah.
You see? And
Yeah.
and then I come back and then we can work on the vacuum. But here's the thing, the spikes will be high and the chills will be low. And this is the way this will be. So we never challenge the brain during a spike. We only challenge the brain when there's a lull. Right? So the
Okay.
vacuum doesn't move when the brain is up here. Nothing happens. It only happens when it's down here.
Okay.
So the more that you do this, the less this spikes and valleys. And then the more you do it, the more it does this. Do you see what
That's
I
so,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah. But so here's the thing. I plan on doing this for a good chunk of time in one session because a lot of times people will just do like uh 10 minutes in and they're like, great, I haven't even turned it on, but it's in the middle of the living room and the dog's still kind of antsy. And then I put the vacuum away. Well, you just put the vacuum away while the brain was still antsy, which means when I see the vacuum again, the brain's going to get antsy again.
Okay.
You see? So wait for a lull, sustain that for a while, and then put the vacuum away when you're done.
Okay.
You see?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you're restarting yeah, okay.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
So I always tell my clients, or either listen or watch for the silence. Ooh.
Yeah.
It's easy to hear this and see this, barking, growling, snarling, whatever. It's a big display. But when we start listening for the silence, that's our key. That's the doorway in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Makes
All right.
sense?
I'll try that.
Cool. Good. Uh, Paula, sorry, I saw that your chat just come up as soon as I started with Tina. So go ahead if you are free. If not, I can help with the jumping thing, which it looks like, yeah. Okay. So for me, for jumping, I always address it.
Sorry.
That's okay. Are you free?
Yes, I'm just having issues with this connection. I'm not sure why, but go ahead.
Okay. So can you hear me okay though?
Yes.
Okay. So is the dog jumping on you?
Yes. Like
Okay.
we're going outside, gets very excited and starts jumping, like can jump higher than my head.
Ah, yeah, I once had a dog jump so high it looked down at me. And I was like, that's different.
That's
Um,
Charlie.
yeah. If he's jumping that high, I'm going to get a leash on him before we go outside. And I'm probably going to hold that leash fully down here, not trying to like pull him down, but down. And so when he jumps, it stops that way.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the first thing. The second thing is if he comes around and he faces you and he's jumping on you, if he is completely airborne, we need to address it with the leash first. Okay.
Okay.
If it gets down to the intensity to where he's just putting his paws up on you, when a dog jumps up on me, I move into that dog's space. Because what happens is in dog language, if I'm looking at a dog and I go like this and I back up, it brings the dog into me. It invites that dog into my space. Okay.
Okay.
So when a dog jumps, if I do this, I'm saying, come here, take my personal space and do that again.
Okay.
Do you see the difference?
Yes.
So for me, when the dog jumps, I move into the dog's space. I may take a step towards them so that they experience a little discomfort, not pain, but discomfort that says, oh, geez, I got to get down. I didn't really care for that, but I'm just going to do it again for the heck of it. And then they jump and I do the same thing again. I step into them so they go, oh, all right.
What
So
if it's just when I'm like reaching for the leash? Like she knows, if I'm going for the leash, she knows where it's kept, and that's all that needs to trigger it. And she's, jumping up like on my back, it's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So number one, if that. So how often is that happening? Daily?
Every time I go for the leash, she gets excited, just about every time.
Okay, so the leash kept near the door, like on a hook, drawer, cabinet, cupboard, whatever, like that kind of
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
Okay. On your way to it, is that when she's jumping on you?
Yep.
Okay. So it's safe to say that this is a predictable pattern, would you say?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're sitting on the couch and you go, you say to yourself, I'm gonna go grab the leash. There's a good chance you'll probably know by like the fifth step you take that she's gonna start jumping on you, right?
For sure. Hmm.
Okay. So that tells me that when I stand up and I take one step, I'm taking a step towards her to address her behavior and to prevent it from escalating,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
So let's say just for the ease of this conversation and the ease of understanding, at your fifth step, we know she's going to jump on you, right?
Hmm.
So that means that I have 4 steps to address her. And the closer I get to the fifth step, the harder it is going to be for me to address her.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. So that means when I get up and I take one step, I'm going to take one step and then I'm going right here and I'm
Okay.
addressing her. And I may even tell her to sit just for the sake of giving her something to do, giving her some direction.
And I have been doing that. Like I will, she gets her
Great.
jumps out and then I make her sit and before I'll attach it,
Yeah,
thinking
but I
that
don't want
maybe
her.
she'll eventually learn.
Yeah, but I don't want her to get her jumps out. We need to prevent that.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So I address that. I turn. I take a couple more steps. If she starts coming at me, I stop and I address again. And I
Okay.
put her into the sit. And then I go and I take a couple more steps and I'm watching her as I go. Right? It's
Yes.
okay if she gets up and she can walk. But if I see her coming into my space, I turn and I address immediately. So jumping is a symptom of excitement. Would you
Hmm.
agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we need to address the core, not the symptom.
It makes so much sense when you explain it.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh,
why didn't I
good.
just think of this before?
That's my job. That's the way it's supposed to work.
Like every
Yeah.
scenario, I'm like, it's kind of like common sense if you just stop and think about what's
Yeah.
happening, but
Yes.
for some reason it doesn't click in my brain.
I
So
know. And
I
so
will give it a shot.
look at it this way. It doesn't matter if it's you going towards the leash, getting into the car, taking your dog for a walk, putting him into the crate. There is a moment when there's a behavior that starts to manifest that we disagree with, right?
Right.
In this scenario that we're talking about, it's the fifth step that you take where things go haywire. So we have to
Yes.
reprogram, if you will, or reteach steps 1 through 4 so that we get a new number 5,
Okay.
right? And
Man.
so what I would do, Paul, is I would do this when you're not going to take the dog for a walk, you're not going to go anywhere, so that you can make it to the leash, you can grab it, and you can put it back, and you can go sit down.
Okay.
And then wait for her brain to settle, and then I stand back up. I start walking towards the leash, but I'm just double checking to see what her intentions are. And if she's coming into my space with too much intensity, I address. You see?
Hmm.
So we need to practice these steps so that it starts to become more fluid. So I don't have to address her every 3 steps that I take. It's going to turn into every 7 steps that I take. It's going to turn into once while I go to the leash. It's going to turn into I get to go to the leash without her jumping on me.
Okay.
Once you get to the point where you can go to the leash without her jumping on you, that's when you put your foot on the gas and you go, I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm going to walk back to the couch and then I'm going to turn and go grab the leash. I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to put it down. I go back to the couch. I walk back to the leash. I pick it up. I put it down. I go back to so makes this. So she goes, what is mom doing right now? Like she's just walking back and forth, right? And
Mhm.
so in that moment, you're not getting any jumping. And that's what we
Okay.
need. That's the new cycle that needs to repeat. It's a new way of being for the dog in that moment.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Sheila, do you have anything else? Or anybody else have
Um,
anything?
yeah, it's kind of it. I've just been thinking about the other things you were saying, and
Okay.
in some other thing. There was another post you made about feeding time and making sure they're relaxed before you give them their food and
Yeah,
things
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. And how do you get them to relax?
Wait.
But with waiting with food, at least, if I don't do anything, that seems to escalate the anxiety.
It escalates because the dog's not understanding what you're doing and why aren't you doing
Yeah.
this,
Right. Okay.
right? Because if you
So I,
look at it from the dog's point of view, think about this. How many steps does your dog make you take during the day?
um,
So that's an awareness thing.
right.
Okay. So
Okay.
if the dog is able to manipulate you to go do this for the dog and go do that for the dog and go do that for the dog, when you're getting the food ready, well, why are you not giving this to me? This is frustrating me. So I'm going to escalate. You need to get the food down here. I've already told you to to go open the door for me. I've already brought you my ball that we could play, right? So sometimes our dogs make us do things. So when it comes to situations like that, the frustration kicks in because to them, they've been the decision maker. So
Okay.
that is the storm that we need to weather so that we can come out the other side. So it looks like you live in a home, right? You're not like in an apartment building or anything
Correct.
like that.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Wait it out, Sheila.
You mean like wait it out, like put it in the bowl and then don't give it to
Nope.
her? Or
Nope. What do you do this at the counter or where do
yeah,
you put?
yeah. In the
Okay.
kitchen, yes. Her bowl's there and
Perfect.
put it in.
How far away is it? And a strange question. From where you put the food in the dish on the counter to where you put it on the floor. Give me a ballpark.
Right, it's right there. I
Perfect.
just
I was hoping that's what you were going to answer, and it
yeah.
wasn't like way on the other side of
Yeah.
the house. Okay.
No.
So here's my food. Poured it in, sets on the counter. What does your dog normally do right now during this process?
She's normally spinning in circles.
Yeah. So I just wait. This sits on the counter. I may grab my phone, talk to a friend, watch TV from where you're standing. I'm going to kill some time. And
Okay.
so she's going to go through this like, what the heck is happening here? Right? She has no idea that you are actually now going to require her to chill out before you put the food down.
Okay.
So now what happens? Dogs, when they're not allowed to take that regular path of what they want over and over and over again, then they turn into negotiators. They'll back up and then sit down and stare at you and wait. Will this do it? Nope. She didn't give me
Yeah,
food then.
she'll go, she has a mat. She'll go to her mat and lay
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah. She
Or
does that
sometimes
when if
yeah.
she gets a treat after her walk, she'll go do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Or sometimes they get into that down and look at you like, does this do
Yeah.
it? No, that doesn't do it. Does this do it? No. Bark, 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 bark. Protest. Please put my food down. You're killing me here. Oh, that doesn't do it either. So what I wait for is I got nothing left in my toolbox. I guess I'm just going to hang out here. So it might be a half an hour, 45 minutes, Sheila. I don't know.
Okay.
And then when you get this, When you finally get that let go, that surrender to the situation, that's when I take the dish and I put it down right underneath her nose and I walk away.
Okay.
That's what I do.
And like with the situation of her getting excited with the other dogs on a walk, and she's just, or I mean, like you said, she's up here and on
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah.
How do you get her to chill out then?
You're not going to at that point. We need to work on the relationship, because if she feels like she's the decision maker, you're not going to be able to tell her that you disagree with her
Okay.
for that behavior, number one. And then number two, it's how we walk her and her state of mind that matter.
Okay.
So often dog owners like yourself, when our dogs explode, we want to know, what do we do in this moment right here when our dog explodes? And when our dog explodes, we would have to do something inhumane to get their attention to stop it, depending on the intensity, which a lot of times it can be super duper intense.
Right.
Right. And so if we're trying to do something in this moment when they explode, it's way too late.
Okay.
And there's no training that can happen in that moment.
Right. Yes. She sometimes, which is impossible usually, will even refuse food if she's that
Oh,
jazzed.
yeah.
But yeah, this is a dog that never refuses food. So
Yeah.
that's
So that's why
why.
I'd asked you about like food. You said sometimes it works when you give food when you have her
Right.
pass by. So they have these things, I think they're called like lick sticks, where it's actually things that you
Right.
can give to your dog to lick. So
Right.
in that situation, I want the dog to lick something as they pass by, and because there's no end to it, right? So it's like food
Right.
in, chomp, 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 swallow. Where's the next one? Or they chomp and swallow, and then they look back at their target.
Right.
So I would create a licking scenario through the whole process. And then once the dog passes, then you can reward with food. But
Okay.
I
That
want the
makes
dog
sense.
to accomplish something first before I pay it off, before I reward.
You're frozen.
Oh, really?
Huh.
Um, Can you hear me? That might be on your end. I don't know. Paula and Tina, can you hear
Yeah.
me? Oh, there.
Yeah. That froze. Wait.
Yep. Oh, it was me. My little notice just came up that this was unstable for a second. So where did I leave you?
With the stick thing, using the
Yeah. So I want the dog to lick on that thing as we pass something by, and then I'll reward at the end.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Rather than
Okay.
food and the dog takes it like a hit, looks,
Right.
right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then, yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it seems like. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you very much.
Cool. You're welcome. So look, these calls are a lot like my Canines and Culture call. We do these twice a week where it's just a question and I go around to the next question and around and around. So it's like a classroom setting. And I think that's why I wanted to do this. There's a lot of value in learning from not only, my conversation with you, but from
Right.
other questions as well. So if any of you are interested in that program, I have openings in it right now that you can join. So you can email me, you can message me, whatever you want to do as far as moving forward with that. So and I do private Zoom calls as well. So we can really get into some more in-depth conversations about things that are going on.
Right.
So,
Okay.
all
Thank
right.
you.
You're
Thanks.
welcome. All right, ladies. Well, have a good rest of the day. Thank you for showing up today. Certainly appreciate it. And I think everybody got a little something out of this. So I wish you well and have a wonderful weekend.